Paul Pogba is the main feature tonight. Paul Pogba effectively handing in a transfer request with Manchester United, which is what he pretty much did a month ago. But these latest comments from Mino Raiola leave us in very little doubt that Paul Pogba does want to leave Manchester United, and has that left Manchester United in a situation where, we talk about it all the time, snooze and you lose. I feel that there is news coming out of United tonight that they still expect Paul Pogba to be a Manchester United player next season, and that he will be on the tour. And I think, you know what? Sometimes you've just got to look at a situation and say, now it's embarrassing. It is embarrassing if Manchester United start to dig their feet in against Paul Pogba and force him to stay. It is. I'm sorry. Look, we've had the Busby Babes, we've had Sir Alex Ferguson, we've had 2008, we've had 99, we've had Brian Robson, we've had Roy Keane, we've had so many legends and so many legendary moments at this football club. Do you think for 1 minute we need to start keeping a player that doesn't want to be here like Paul Pogba, who is forcing it out? And I know Ronaldo sort of did it as well, but it was a different situation. Ronaldo didn't have an agent like Mino Raiola. I mean, he is going to drag us through the dirt over the next month trying to get this deal done. And I think you just got to put your hands up and say, look, he wants to go. We don't need this embarrassment. We don't need this sort of attitude. We are, in many ways, it's the perfect time to do it. We're meant to be part of a rebuild anyway. He's going to go next year, so do it now. I said a couple of days ago that actually I think United do need to keep Pogba, because how do you replace him? We're making a mess of getting a midfielder in, even if we keep him. How do we bloody replace him when we've not even got the players to replace Herrera yet? But that was always going to be dependent on how much Pogba was going to push it. I think it was very difficult to come back from what he said a month ago, that he wanted a new challenge, but possible. Possible if United got hold of him, which they've not been able to do, and said, look, you can go in a year, we won't stand in your way, just give us another year. Maybe that was possible. But now, tonight, Mino Raiola has stepped up and said that Manchester United are fully aware, everybody within the club is fully aware that Paul Pogba wants to move away, and we're working on that right now. I mean, that sort of throws Manchester United under the bus from Pogba again. I mean, respect for the football club, I don't know. I've always, this is the same Mino Raiola who just over a year ago apparently was approaching Pep Guardiola and Man City about Pogba. He's a snide. He is a snide, and he always has been. And we were all happy when he was doing it to Juventus to get him here. But when it works the other way around, you see him for what he is. He's a very greedy man in a world where there's lots and lots of money, and there is no respect. I said this in May. I said how Mino Raiola is towards Manchester United over this summer is going to have a very, very impact. And you think about some of his clients, Manolas, De Ligt, Lozano, Pogba. If there was a good relationship there, we could have had a good summer. Maybe we could have got De Ligt. Maybe we could have got Lozano. But clearly there isn't. There isn't any respect there. There isn't any working relationship there. And now you've got Mino Raiola following up what Paul Pogba said a month ago, that Paul Pogba wants to leave and Manchester United know about it. And that then leads into all sorts of things. Why United waiting on Pogba? He has to go now, says Chris Delagy. Well, look, nobody knows what's going to happen. And what I must say is this. I have been told that Manchester United are going to do a deal this weekend. So, there's a little bit of positivity for you. I'm going to say, look, if that comes to fruition, great on the person who told me that. But I mean, hello, Manchester United are going to do a deal before Sunday, and we've not heard about it yet. That doesn't happen. So we're going to have to change the habit of a lifetime. But, you never know. Who do you bring in now, Mark, to replace Pogba? What's your opinion, says Philip Burtonwood. Well, we can talk about that. But what I want to talk about is just this situation with Pogba, because it feels to me, Yuri Tillemans, who is potentially a replacement, Philip, is an issue, has flown into Birmingham today. Welcome to Gerard Zolinski, latest member of the United Stand Members Club. He has flown into Birmingham today, and he is going to have his medical with Leicester over the weekend, and he is going to be announced as a Leicester City player. We've known for the last month that Yuri Tillemans was open to a move to Manchester United, and that Manchester United had him on the list, but he wasn't a priority. And there was even mentioned that Tillemans would be dependent on whether Pogba goes. Well, Tillemans has obviously decided, Leicester really want me, I'm going to go to Leicester. And Manchester United, as far as I'm concerned, well, look, this is just an opinion, I've not been told this, but I think a lot of people would have the same opinion. It feels like Manchester United think they can keep Paul Pogba. That's what it feels like. And we're hearing that again tonight. United want him on the tour, this, that and the other. It's just small club mentality. They should have planned for this. I actually said in May, this was before Pogba came out about leaving. You look at the last 3 years and it's not worked. the marriage between Pogba and United has not worked. There's no need to hate Pogba. There's no need to hate United. It hasn't worked. In short bursts, he's been world class. In consistently, he's been pretty poor as well. Like, you know, how can Paul Pogba be poor against midfielders like Cardiff and Huddersfield? It doesn't make any sense. It's not quite worked out, and I felt it in May. It probably was the right time for Pogba to say, look, I want to go somewhere else, and United to go, yeah, it makes sense, we're going to do a rebuild. What appears to happen is Pogba has gone down that route of I want to move on, but United have gone, no, you're not going anywhere. You've got 3 years of your contract, you're going to stay, which is all fine and good, but it's not as if the last 3 years have been that good anyway. We haven't really provided the platform for Pogba. We haven't really put the players around him. It's all been pressure on him. So I think Pogba's, arguable whether he's delivered on his side, but United certainly haven't. And to say, well, no, we're not going to sell you under any circumstances now. But Pogba's justified straight away, because if they force Pogba to stay, where are these players that were meant to be brought in anyway? Like, where is the midfield? If you're Paul Pogba, not only are you looking at Madrid and going, I quite fancy what's going on there with Zidane, domination of European football. I quite fancy that. Yeah, it looks really good. A lot easier than here. But even if you were inkling of staying at United, you'd go, well, Ander Herrera made my job a lot easier. Who's his replacement? Like, where's the improvement around me? Where is your improvement? You brought a left winger in from Swansea who might not be any good next season or might not be any good anyway. Where are these players around me that are going to make me even better than last season? We haven't delivered. So we failed on many levels in relation to this Pogba bloody mess that I can see coming along here, because it was obvious. It was bloody obvious. And Mino Raiola said that everyone in the club knows that Pogba wants to go. So it's been obvious for a long time that Pogba wants to go, right? It's obvious. And it's also obvious that if United wanted to keep Pogba, they could have gone and spent some money and brought some quality in that might make Pogba think, oh, you know what? They actually are making an effort. Maybe I will stay for another year. We've not done that. We haven't bought any players in that Pogba's going to think, oh, it's worth me staying. We're definitely weaker in the midfield than we were last season. And second to that, we've just buried our head in the sand about the obvious fact that Paul Pogba wants to leave. It's like, la, 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 la. No, not going to listen. And it ain't going to work. Because it looks to me that with these Mino Raiola comments about Pogba wanting to leave, as well as what Pogba said a month ago, this isn't going away. They're going to keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. And that is not good for us, because we haven't even addressed the issues we had in May before we even knew that Pogba was going to go. And now we've got this issue where Pogba wants to go. And if Pogba goes, we need 3 midfielders. And where are these 3 midfielders going to come from? Bruno Fernandes, great, but we should have been getting Bruno Fernandes even if Pogba stayed. Who else is there? Who else is there that we're going to go for? We're going to have to do things that I don't think we're ready to do. And I think Solskjaer's been let down a bit as well, which I'll come back to. Stephen Willock says, off topic, Lukaku's first touch is awful, but for the same money per week as Rashford's not fit to lace Rom's boots in terms of total goals. Longstaff says Luke Skywalker. Yep, very interesting. Sky Sports are reporting that Newcastle want 50 million for Sean Longstaff. This is what happens when you let it be known for the last 7 or 8 weeks that we're in for Longstaff. This has been we've known that United want Longstaff for 7 or 8 weeks. I can't remember when it started, but it was definitely before June that United were linked to Longstaff. I think it was the end of May. On and on and on. Makes it obvious we want him, and then Newcastle go, we want stupid money. I tell you what, if we pay a penny over £25 million for Sean Longstaff, we're bloody idiots. He is not worth anything more than that. He's played 9 games for Newcastle. But again, what's meant to be a very odd, but maybe he'll be good in the future deal, now turns into, a massive, massive big deal. Pogba swap deal, who could we get? James or Bale, says Steve Wynyard. I mean, look, I think you make a good point, Steve. I think Gareth Bale's going to be a potential get out of jail card where they think, oh, let's bring Bale in because he's a big name. That's not that. As I said, I haven't got a massive problem with Bale, but as part of a Pogba deal, I don't know whether that's worth it. Bruno Longstaff and Maddison, says Manik Drew. I mean, that could be an idea. But look, get into the comment. I need to talk to you about Solskjaer and how I think he's been severely let down in this transfer window. But what are your feelings on Pogba now? Is there any way back? Because I was talking to Jorty a couple of hours ago about this, and he was saying to me, what's your opinion on it? And I said, well, look, I have actually said this week that if we can keep Pogba for another year, promise to let him go next year and get a good year out of him while we plan to replace him next summer, then that's probably the best deal for United, because I don't see how we're going to, we've already needed 2 midfielders, and then if Pogba goes, you need 3 or 4, and there's just not that quality out there. So you've got to look at what's best for United. But I've always said that's if Pogba doesn't push a move. Like if Pogba is respectful to us and allows us to talk to him, that's not happened, has it? Pogba's not even back in the country yet. Pogba's not even spoken to Solskjaer yet. And before he lands in the country, Raiola's leaking it to the press that Pogba wants to go. I don't think he can come back from that. I don't. Look, everybody's got their own opinion, but I think, the minute United start kicking off next season and we're playing and Paul Pogba's in a shirt, he divided people last year. What's he done over the summer? He's publicly said he wanted a new challenge, and his big mouthpiece, bloody greedy guts, bloody Raiola, has also spelled it out today. That's twice. He's thrown Solskjaer under the bus, effectively. He's thrown United under the bus. And, at the end of the day, he's a footballer who wants a move. But let's not pretend there's any respect there for Manchester United. He wants a move, and he hasn't spoken to Solskjaer all summer because he's not been back in training yet. So he wants a move, and I think he's got to be given that move. I do. I don't really think that there is a way back, and maybe some of you do, but I don't. I don't think there is a way back now. Midfield without Pogba will be a disaster, Mark, says Nomad. Yeah, I don't disagree with that, but what I want to know from you lot in the live comments before we move on to this Solskjaer issue is, do you see a way back? Would you be happy if we now gave him $500,000 a week to stay? We basically just become mercenary United again. I don't know. I just don't think so. I just don't think there's a way back for Manchester United anymore with Paul Pogba. But I think that the worrying thing is we've stopped being a big club. We, as fans, we haven't. Manchester United fans, we still get what Manchester United means. But I think the higher echelons of the club, whether it's through lack of football knowledge, let's be honest with you, these American glazers, they don't know anything about football. They certainly don't know about the history of our football club. They just know it makes money. Ed Woodward, what's his background in football? He was a bank manager before. Maybe we are now suffering from the fact that we've got people who run our football club who don't actually get the enormity of our name in world football, and we are acting like scared little rabbits in the headlights. It feels like with Pogba, we are not acting like Manchester United. We are acting like West Ham United when they don't want to lose their star player to a bigger club. We are like, no, we're not listening. We're closing the door. We're bolting the thing. You're going to stay. We're Manchester United. Nobody's bigger than this football club. I don't care who it is. Nobody's bigger than this football club. And when they start embarrassing us in public, and their agent, who I can't stand, who starts gobbing off again like he's the most powerful man in the world, Screw that. I'd rather finish mid-table than have that shit start dictating to us about what his client's going to do. Manchester United are bigger than that. We're bigger than that. But I don't think our owners act like that. I think our owners are acting like, oh, Paul Pogba wants to leave. What will we do? We've got to keep him even though he doesn't want to be here. Screw that. I want players who want to be here. And he clearly doesn't. And in some ways I understand that. And this needs to stop. It needs to stop. We don't need this to turn into some long drawn out affair that's going to totally dominate our summer. And that's a fear as well. This Pogba deal is going to be so complex. How the hell are we going to bring other players in? We've only got 4 or 5 weeks left of this transfer window. If we've got to work on Pogba, how the hell are we working on Lukaku leaving, Rojo leaving, Darmian leaving, and 2 or 3 other players coming in? I think this could conceivably swamp our summer and destroy it. And I think that's why United are scared, because they haven't prepared for this. They haven't prepared for it. It's very clear that they're burying their head in the sand with this constant line that comes out. Somebody said it to me from Manchester United in May. The club stance is the player's not for sale. And that's all fine and good. But we've seen it time and time again. The club stance that a player's not for sale doesn't work when the player has twice fed it to the media that he wants to go. It isn't going to work. It's going to be constantly on the shoulders of a very inexperienced manager, and it's not fair. Mark, we won't know until Ollie tells us in the press conferences Pogba is leaving. Well, he won't tell us he's leaving anyway, George. Also, I think we should keep Lukaku. Why? Because if we sell him, we are just going to stress ourselves finding a replacement. Well, I don't necessarily think we need a replacement for Lukaku. I just don't want him playing games. Ali Guadalia says, our incompetence to bring quick signings and slow business will affect us big time. Okay, think they don't know what to do. No way are we going to make top 4. I'll come back to that, Ari. And welcome to Daniel Brinley, the latest member of the United Stand Members Club. Look, you know what? I think feeding into what I was just saying there about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Please do smash a like on the video, everybody. And make sure you do subscribe. We're nearly at 490,000 subscribers. So if you've not subscribed, bottom right-hand corner, get your bell notification on so you get all your notifications when we go live. Because I have been told that there is going to be a United signing this weekend. But I don't believe it. But, you know, I can only feed out to you lot. So we'll see. No top 4 this season, says Ricky916. I honestly believe Ollie is building for the future and looking at the long-term plan. We have great youth coming up and a young team. Yeah, Ricky, I don't agree with that, though. I mean, this Manchester United team should still get 4th. We are in a stronger position than a club that's got a new manager and a transfer ban and has lost their best player, Chelsea, and Arsenal, who are banter. We cannot be finishing below those clubs. 4th is a minimum. I don't care about looking long term. There's enough good players to get us 4th place, and I won't be happy if we don't achieve that. But I feel that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been let down, and I know he did that interview this afternoon, and I know he's always very positive. But I think behind closed doors, he ain't very happy. I don't think he's very happy at all. Because when you think about it, he spoke at the end of the season about ruthlessness and getting rid of players who he didn't want to be part of this rebuild. He comes back into pre-season training and he's talking about everybody's got another chance. It's a clean slate. That is a total contradiction. And I don't think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is a liar or a hypocrite. I think he's had to adjust. I think that's what happens. You know, people call it being a flip-flop. You know, there's a lot of months that have passed there and circumstances change things. Like, only 3 days ago, I was like, let's keep Pogba for another year. But if he pushes for a transfer request, he's going to have to go. What's happened? His agent's done it for him. He's got to go, in my mind. I think in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's situation, what's happened is he's wanted to move players on so that he can bring players in. We're on July the 5th and we've not sold anybody. And we've only brought 2 players in. I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's plan, and let me just read this super chat here. Luke Skywalker says, Mino Raiola controls the transfer window, whatever you people like it or not. He is so greedy. This is why I prefer doing no business with Raiola. Well, we always said that, didn't we? When Woodward came in with Mourinho and he started spending money with Raiola, it was great when it worked for us and we were getting Zlatan and Mkhitaryan and Pogba from Raiola. But a lot of people said it at the time. This will come back and bite us on the arse because it's great when Raiola's working for you, but when he isn't, he turns. He hasn't got a great relationship with Real Madrid, but he probably will have now because he's going to get them a big player. Hendrick's gin with cucumber and ice. Beautiful. Chloe Jenkins, if I was Bruno or any other player looking in and seeing this crap going on, I would definitely think, balls, I ain't going there. That is the concern. That is the concern, Chloe. And going back to what I was saying about Solskjaer, so I think what Solskjaer wanted was to come back on July the 1st, 2 or 3 players to have been moved on. Not necessarily Lukaku, but I certainly think Darmian, who's got no place being here anymore, probably Rojo, maybe Eric Bailly. As much as that hurts you, let's just say those 3 players are gone. 3 players are gone and 3 players have come in. And then you go into July and maybe you move Lukaku on because you've got time and you bring another player in. That hasn't happened. Solskjaer's come back. Nobody's been sold. And he's only got 2 signings in. And whatever anybody says, let's not be hypocrites ourselves. In May, we were talking about how many deals United needed to do. And we all said 4 or 5 signings with 4 or 5 going out the door. That's 8 or 10 deals. And we all said 8 or 10 deals with the way United do it, very, very difficult to do in 3 months. Where are we now? We are a month away from the transfer window closing, and from them 8 or 10 deals, we've still got 6 or 8 to do in 4 weeks. We're not going to do it, are we? Let's be honest, we are not going to do 6 or 8 deals. And the 6 or 8 deals would be another 2 or 3 coming in and 4 going out. So we're not going to do that. We haven't got the time to do it. And Pogba wasn't even part of that. So Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been let down. I really do think that. I think he's been let down by the same situation and the same people, and I don't need to name names, who have been presiding over a mess in relation to recruitment of selling players for 6 bloody years. Mark Goodwin says, Pogba for Varane plus 70 million, buy Fernandes, Partey and Longstaff. If we have money left in the bank, then get a right winger. Would you be satisfied, Mark? I would, but there's many things wrong with that theory. One, we won't get Varane. Two, there's 3 deals there that we won't do. We haven't got the time or the quality of recruiter to do it. We are terrible at recruitment. So we haven't got time for that as much as I like it. And Pumpkin Spice Latte says, oh, that sounds nice. Who's going to buy Pogba though? Who can? Will the agent saying he wants to leave decrease his value? That might be the tactic. But what I always said was that if Pogba and his agent go public, they know that somebody's got the money to do it, because you don't go public saying you want to leave without knowing you've got a buyer. Because you know what, if I went into work on Monday and I went up to my boss and I said, up yours, you stinky shit, I'm walking out of here tomorrow, I don't want to work here anymore, and then as I get clapped out, I suddenly realise I don't have another job, I'm going to have to go back and apologise and look a right idiot. So Pogba going, I want to leave, and his agent saying he wants to leave, and then there's nobody who wants him, and he has to stay at Manchester United with a fan base that suddenly doesn't like him. No, he's been tapped up in the legal way. He's been tapped up. Real Madrid will have made it clear that they do want him and they can afford him. Bruno to make his decision in the next 48 hours, says Connor Brooks. And Imrano TV says, even with Chelsea and Arsenal being weak, we could fall further behind. Well, yeah, definitely we could do. Losing Pogba and Lukaku means losing 31 goals from last season, not to mention Herrera gone too. Without replacing them, Wolves will finish 4th. I just think we're leaving ourselves a chaotic last month of the transfer window. And anybody who doesn't think that, I'm very, very surprised. I'm very surprised that people can't see the situation that we're in. But again, I go back to what I was saying. I don't blame Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for this. I think the problem is, if you look at any business, like, we've got we know these things. We don't want to accept these things. Admittedly, we just want to moan and say, why haven't we bought players? La la la. And it's very easy to do that. But I think sometimes you need to scratch the surface. Everyone's got a right to be pissed off. I think the way we've acted this summer is just insufficient. But when you look at the issues that we've got, if you take someone like Darmian for a moment, he's overpaid. His wages compared to what the Italians will want to pay him is too expensive. Plus, we want money for him. So anybody who's going to buy Darmian can say, yeah, I want to buy Darmian, but his wages are stupid. So we're not going to give you 15 million. We'll give you 6 million and we'll take his wage as part of that. And United will be like, no, we want a bit more money. Rojo is on ridiculous money. And, he's not a very good player. So, again, you've got that same issue. Well, we'll take him on the cheap because his wages are going to cost so much. Eric Bailly would be the same. Lukaku is the same at the other end of the tree. He's on over 200 grand a week. Inter can't afford that, and 60 million. We've got a lot of deadwood players who are on silly money, and then we want a transfer fee on top. And the fairy on top of the Christmas tree is Alexis Sanchez. We need to get rid of him, but we want 30 million, and he's on 400 grand a week. Nobody can afford it. So Solskjaer basically has taken a job that is a ridiculously difficult job, because he could well go into next season with a load of deadwood and nowhere near the signings that he wanted, because those people above him who recruited all this deadwood can't sell the deadwood and therefore won't spend any more money because they're shit scared that they've bought so many players over the last 6 years. What if they're crap and they fall on the deadwood as well? And it leads to indecision, mediocrity and stagnation, and that is where we are at. We've got too many players we can't get rid of, that need to be got rid of, and we need to bring players in. But there is total and utter chaos at Manchester United, and you've got poor Ole Gunnar Solskjaer who's trying to rebuild something but can't do it, and rolls up into training on July the 1st with a load of players that he didn't expect to be here, and the players he expected to be here not here because they can't get rid of that. And that is the frustration, but that is the reality, isn't it? And that is why, with a month left of this transfer window, to have any success from this transfer window, we need to do 6 or 7 deals. And we can't do that. And that doesn't even include this mess we've got with this guy next to me, Paul Pogba. It's a mess. And it goes back to what most of you were saying back in October last year. So nearly a year ago. we need a director of football. And for whatever reason, the club haven't done that. And I think a lot of that's to do with status quo. We don't want somebody coming in here telling us how to do it. We want to be in charge of it. But you don't look back at the last 6 years and the crap you've caused. So we've got people in charge who have made loads of mistakes. And they're still here. Mark, the new contracts are to blind the fans. Bullshit, says Lee Anderton. Yeah, well, we've had 3 new contracts in a week where we should be doing transfers. So, yeah. And I think a lot of that is to do with blinding the fans, because there's so much negativity with the Glazer out thing, and you know they've cancelled the call-ins on MUTV. They don't tweet much because every tweet gets a load of abuse. So I think, yeah, let's give Twan Seaby a new contract. People will like that, which we do. But Mr. MS Smiley, Ollie said around the PSG game that 5 to 6 new players was unlikely, and that no manager wanted to work with an entirely new team and waste all the work he'd put in the previous season. I'm not sure where you're going with that, mate, because he also said after the Everton game, which was a month later, I'm going to be successful here and a lot of these players won't be here to see it. So that predates that. And, you know, what are you saying? Well, he's not going to sign players because he wants to continue to work with shit. I mean, he's either very stupid or he doesn't want to do that. And he doesn't want to do that. You know, if you're a manager of Manchester United, you don't need to be Harry Potter and a wizard to realise that you need 4 or 5 players in that team this summer. And we've brought 1 in. You know, I don't count Daniel James because he's an unknown quantity, but we have got a decent right back. Daniel Bridley, I feel we're turning into Liverpool of the 90s, buying average players and years of struggle ahead. Seen Lukaku also linked with Napoli tonight. I don't think Napoli would have the money for Lukaku. Pumpkin Spice Latte says, how is it that Woodward haggles transfer fees, lowballing every team, but agrees on ridiculous wages? I don't know. I mean, that's something that I've always never worried about, but never really understood, to be honest with you. Make sure you smash a like on the video, everyone. Let's see if we can get 1,000 likes while we're live. Remember, it is Friday night live, so we're going to be interactive. I have been told that there is going to be a deal this weekend. Look, I can only tell you what I've been told. I don't believe that. I don't think United can go from no interest, no general media interest, or we're negotiating to doing a deal in a day or two. I just don't see it. Sky is saying 50 million for Sean Longstaff. Exactly. Ryan FTW, can't see us buying a centre-back. I've said it all summer to you, Mark. Just too many deals to do in a short time. Bruno, Pogba, Lukaku. Yeah, we are running out of time. Man United to break tradition and make a signing during the tour, says Pack 376. Well, we've got to, Pack 376. We've absolutely got to do some deals during the tour. But you know what? I mean, look. It exhausts me, so it must exhaust you. I mean, I had my mate messaging me today going mad about the Pereira contract. I mean, to me, it was like, yeah, I don't think it's well timed, but I do like Pereira. Hopefully he can produce something. But I genuinely did think this transfer window would not go the same as previous ones. I really did, trust what was being said in May from the club. And I really did believe that we were going to be impactful in this transfer window and, for once, get business done efficiently. Not necessarily early, but efficiently. And actually buy into a rebuild. I am concerned at this stage. You can't judge the transfer window till August the 8th. But I am concerned about... I just feel... And this isn't a witch hunt. This isn't a witch hunt or anything like that. It's just an observation. And everybody in life has the right to an opinion and an observation. And my observation has been pretty consistent about Manchester United for a long time. Gary Neville's hinted at it. We've had Phil Brown on here a year ago. I need to get him back on again, and he said it. The problem with Manchester United is higher up. It's higher up. You've got people running this football club who don't understand football. And that, I feel, is the problem with Manchester United. And we can get a new manager in, and we can talk about rebuilds, and we can do lots and lots of things signing young players. But ultimately, that's all low level. If the top level isn't knowledgeable, it's going to cause problems. And we've seen it. You know what? Look at the last 6 years. Mourinho, Van Gaal, all the money we've spent, over £400 million. Every penny of that £400 million just about has been a failure, in the general consensus. I mean, I think Luke Shaw was a good signing, but some people don't. Some would say Pogba was a good signing, Zlatan, but then some would say it wasn't. So in general terms, we spent over £400 million. We've had 3 managers, Moyes, Van Gaal and Mourinho, all failed. And yet, as easy it is to blame the players for flopping and the managers for flopping, and quite rightly they do deserve a lot of the blame, surely a big proportion of that blame is the consistent people who are in charge of signing players and recruiting managers. And yet we've still got the same people recruiting players and recruiting managers. And this was mentioned by a lot of you. It doesn't matter how many times we change players and change managers if the same people in charge of those decisions are there. And they are still there. And they've made 6 years of mistakes. And this transfer window, I hoped we were going to see something different. I hoped they were going to learn from their lessons. I hoped we were going to see a different approach. And the reality is, as of July the 5th, with a month to go and nearly 2 months of this transfer window up, we haven't seen anything different from what we've seen in the last 6 years. We haven't. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but we haven't seen anything different. We've seen the same slow deals. We've seen the same dead wood still here. And we've seen the same situation as of today. And there's still time whereby we've not achieved even close what we needed to achieve in incomings, and we've achieved nothing going out the door. And at this moment in time, I'm worried. There is still time for them to turn this around, but I do believe that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been let down, and I do believe that the people at the top of the club don't know what they're doing, and they need to accept that and get somebody in who does, i.e. a proper director of football. De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, Lindelof, Shaw, Ndidi, Pogba, Bruno, Martial, Bale, Rashford. This could have easily been done if we had good recruiters, says Connor Brooks. I agree. And Sam Pierce says the number of fans having a go at Ollie for the lack of players moved on and lack of signings is ridiculous. This isn't Football Manager. All Ollie can do is the best out of the players he has. Look, the manager will always be the focal point of people's frustration. I accept that. However, what did we say in May as a collective? When the football season finishes and the transfer window opens, your focus should move away from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer towards the board and the people who are in charge of recruitment. Because all Ole Gunnar Solskjaer can say is, I want those players, I don't want those players. Move those players on, buy me those players. And if you can't get that player, I've got a couple underneath as my second and third choice, right? That's all he can do. It's what Mourinho did last year, to be fair. And if they don't deliver those players, it's not Solskjaer. He's not ringing them up. He's not negotiating. Somebody else does that. And like I say, he's come back. Nobody's been sold and hardly anybody's been bought. What do you want him to do? Go on MUTV this afternoon and go, this is a shower of shit. He's a Manchester United fan. He's trying to build a career. He's going to have to do it, whatever they deliver to him. And he may not get anywhere near what he wants. And that is, you know what? I think that, you know what also? I think it's appalling, absolutely appalling, on the Manchester United board that they are putting a manager in who is very inexperienced, who needs all the help he can get, and you are not giving him the tools to do it. You know, he is an inexperienced manager. That's not his fault. And you are going to make him, at this point in time, do it with Mourinho's cast-offs. You know, that is still Mourinho's team. Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Daniel James are the only two signings Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has had. They're the only players that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants. He wants more, and he wants some out the door, but he's basically being given the same team that Mourinho had to crack on as an inexperienced manager and do the hardest job in world football. I feel really sorry for him. I really do. Welcome to Damien Duffy, says... sorry, he's the latest member, Damien Duffy. Right, swigger gin and we move on. What I want to say is, though, everything I've just said there, in my opinion, is my opinion as of now. There is still a month left in this transfer window. There is still an opportunity for the board to produce the goods or to kick themselves up the arse and deliver the goods. How would I do that? Going back to Pogba then. A lot of people in the live comments. I'm going to go to them again in a minute. What happened to just terminating unwanted players' contracts? No, it weakens our squad, but Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, unwanted players would be just gone, says Taraj1337. You know what? A ruthless club would do that, but a club that's interested in taking money out of the club like we are, they ain't going to let a player just walk out when they can get something for them. So that's why we won't just terminate a contract, unfortunately, because it's money gone, isn't it? But going back to Paul Pogba there from the start, Pogba effectively has handed a transfer request in tonight. His agent coming out saying that Pogba wants to leave and everybody at the club knows he wants to leave. If you don't interpret that as a transfer request, you're a fool. You're an absolute fool. What do you not understand about Paul Pogba's agent coming out publicly saying his player wants to leave? That is a transfer request. It's not an official transfer request, but it's a transfer request, and it's the second time from Pogba in a month. He wants to leave this football club. I don't want to see my football club being embarrassed, keeping a player that doesn't want to be here. It weakens us. It makes us look weak. You're not going anywhere. We're not listening to offers. It makes us look weak. Twice in a month, he said he wants to go. If we keep him, it makes us look weak. Get the deal done. £150 million, get him out of the club. Let him go. Act like a big fucking football club. That's what we need to do, right? Second thing, Pogba's gone. What do? You've got £150 million from Pogba, and you've probably got about £100 million left from what you were going to spend anyway. Bruno Fernandes has got to come in. Then you need another 2 midfielders. All right, get Sean Longstaff. If that's what Pogba wants to do, go and get Sean Longstaff. I can deal with that. But the third midfielder needs to be bloody good. Now, whether that is going to be a Christian Eriksen or whether that's going to be a James Maddison. Look, they're not Paul Pogba for a start. They're not. But they are players that can be part of something and build something. And look, you know what? I'll be patient with those sort of signings, but let's not start crying and going, we got to keep Pogba. It's not that we've got to keep Pogba. I think the reason everybody was saying we've got to keep Pogba is because we don't trust this board to turn it around in the time that we've got left. We've got a month. So Pogba goes, you've got to get Bruno Fernandes, you've got to get Sean Longstaff, you've got to get, say, James Maddison, Harry Maguire. That's 4 signings, and forget the right winger. We're not getting a right winger. So you've got 4 signings to do in 4 weeks. And sell Pogba, and maybe sell Lukaku. You've got to grab it. You've got to put your foot down. Forget weekends, forget the family trip to the Cotswold, whatever you've got planned. You're working big, long days for 4 weeks to sort this football club out. You're not going on the tour, Ed Woodward. You're not going over there to swan it around in Australia. You get in your bloody office and you do some work for 4 weeks and you turn it around. That's what you do. But have we got the hunger to do it? Have we got the people to do it? I don't know. But that's what needs to happen. I'm not one of these people, and I'm sure you're not one of these people who, when there's a crisis, start crying. You do initially. You're like, oh shit, this is hard. But then it kicks in. Who are we? What are we about? Let's sort it out. Because it can be sorted out. The only reason we're scared of it not being sorted out is because we have no faith in the people who are doing the running of our club. Sort it out. Welcome to Kevin Mitchell. Latest member of the United Stand Members Club, and welcome to Jonathan Gambrill. Right, let's open up the live comments. Saul Niguez would be a great signing as well, Jonathan. I think the problem with Saul Niguez, Jonathan Gambrill, is the price. £130 million release clause. That's the problem with him. Time's not on our side, Mark, says Noel Kelly. I agree. And breaking news from this is breaking news from Mason Kentish. Are you ready for this, Mason? Mason Kentish has got some breaking news for us. Ready? Ander Herrera has left. When? When did... What? Ander Herrera's left. When? Ready? I'm just having a bit of a laugh. Pogba and Lukaku must leave, says Jonas Loic. I can see Lukaku staying, you know. I can see him staying. Better call Sol, says Stupanova. Toby or Maguire, says KC. Maguire, because Toby didn't want to come to United. Otherwise, we would have signed him. 25 million. Or United don't want him. Josh Harlow says, I agree with everything you're saying. I tell you what, if you agree with what I'm saying, that's a first, because not everyone agrees with my opinions, and that's why I love this channel, because you shouldn't agree with everything I say. That's the whole point. But I do think that on this, a lot of people will agree. I don't think it's Solskjaer's fault. I think it's 6 years of failure from the same board that are failing again this summer. And look, I'd say it to their face. You know, they can. You know, I'm sure the Glazer out thing probably pisses them off because they're like, well, it's unjustified in some ways. But what I've said tonight's not unjustified. It's not hate. It's not Glazer out. It's a situation that we are finding ourselves in the transfer window of the summer 2019. The externals of Glazers out and everything like that can take care of itself. Right now, I'm focused on next season, who's come into the club, who's going out the club. I'm speaking about specifics. And if I could speak to somebody on the board at Manchester United, I'd be saying, what are you doing? Why can't you see what everybody in your fan base can see? And what that manager, who I feel very sorry for because you've thrown him under the bus, he's starting his career out at the hardest job in the world, and you've not backed him. You've not given him the tools to do his job. He has got no experience of this. He has got the full support of this club. He is a legend amongst the fans, but he needs to be given the opportunity. And he might fail, but that's life. But you cannot give him Mourinho's team next season to go and be successful, you've got to give him something. You've got to give him what he wants. Remove the players he doesn't want. Give him the players he does. Otherwise, you're destroying the guy. You're absolutely destroying him. He cannot do it with that team. I couldn't do it. You couldn't do it. Bloody Pep couldn't do it. Pep Guardiola could not do anything with that team. He couldn't. He actually couldn't, because it's not a good team. And it annoys me that you've got Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, a club legend, coming out with Mr. Positive vibes, because that's all he can do. He can't come out and be negative. And deep down, he knows. He knows, as well as Michael Carrick and Mike Phelan, that they are in a lot of trouble. And we will start to hear the same sort of shit again. It's a transitional season. It's all about patience. And of course it's all about patience. We know it's all about patience, but patience needs... Progress goes hand in hand with patience. You can't be patient if the club does sod all in the transfer window. You can't be patient if the club doesn't remove the deadwood and bring some good players in. That's not patience. That's failure. You can't be patient if there's no visible progress. And that's what we want. And it's what Solskjaer needs. 100 million for Pogba to get rid, ambush the Tielemans deal and get Maddison. We're not short of cash, as well as Bruno and Longstaff would be good enough in my opinion. Sam, you know what? Tielemans is now probably at Leicester. You know, his plane's landed in Birmingham. It only takes an hour to get to Leicester from here. Somebody should be on the phone to his agent saying, stop it. Stop it. I want him. Because even if Pogba changes his mind, we'll keep him. We'll still want Tielemans. But we're not going to do that. You know what? I think we're not going for Tielemans because we still think we'll force Pogba to stay. How idiotic is that? But some would say we're run by idiots. Make Jose out and now finally wants himself out. Such betrayal, says John Ying. I don't know what you're on about there, mate. It reminds me of the situation when Coutinho wanted to leave Liverpool and they let him go and did what was needed. And now look where they are, says Kunal Timar. Look, I don't like looking at Liverpool, but to be honest with you, the way Liverpool have rebuilt their club over the last 3 years has been spot on. And I hate to say that about our biggest rival, but it is. And the way they got rid of Coutinho, and the way they got rid of Suarez and Emre Can and everybody else who was going on to better things, well, how stupid do they look now? Because Liverpool are the champions of Europe. It reminds... Yeah, I've read that. That's a good one. We will not get £150 million for Pogba, says Lee Winspear. Well, you know what? Lee makes a good point. We might not get £100 million for Pogba, £150 million for Pogba. You know why? Because we've weakened our situation. And looking at it from the other side, Mino Raiola said that everybody at Manchester United knows that Pogba wants to go and has known for a while that Pogba wants to go. So if we've known for a while that Pogba wants to go, but we keep saying he's not for sale, he's not for sale, he's not going, well, you know, that's the first sign of being an idiot. I'm sorry. Like, you are going to devalue Pogba because Pogba will get pissed off and he will force the move by being consistently leaking to the press that he wants to go. And United will have to keep saying he's not going to go. And then, right at the end of the transfer window, somebody in the club will go, he really doesn't want to be here, does he? No. We can't force somebody to be here that doesn't want to be here. It makes us look really stupid, doesn't it? I know. Pick up the phone to Real Madrid. Real Madrid go, yeah, your transfer window ends on August the 8th. Ours finishes at the end of August. So, I tell you what, let's talk on August the 10th. Oh, no. We need to do some business now because we want to buy somebody. Right, okay, 120 million. No, right, we wanted 150. 120 million, or I'll speak to you later on in August. Oh, we'll take it. And this is the thing. We lose the power. We've lost the power in this deal. And Manchester United have got two options now. They either forcefully keep a player that doesn't want to be here, which I think is always bad advice, or they take control of it, take their head out the sand, meet it head on, pick up the phone to Real Madrid now and say, this is what we want, or we want this and that player. And I want this. If you want him, this deal gets done in the next 2 weeks. Otherwise, it's the fax machine scenario again with De Gea, and we don't do any business. Take control of the bloody transfer instead of acting like a small club and going, oh, we don't want it. We're not going to listen. Swap Sanchez for Beppe, says Dan O'Keefe. And Nick P says, it's difficult market. We're trying our best to get deals done. Pogba's a great player. We don't want to lose him. I feel I can write Ollie's script. You know what, Nick? You do make good points. In that first bit, I was like, what are you on about? And then you've obviously rescued yourself by saying that's Ollie's script. Yeah, we've already had this. Remember last week, everybody. It was last weekend when Ed Woodward's email accidentally got leaked about we're trying our best to do stuff. It's a competitive market. Blah, de blah, de blah. We want to bring in exciting players. Basically, you don't want to spend much money. You're just going to buy cheap young players. And yeah, same shit, different year. Prove us wrong. Prove us wrong. Please prove us wrong. I don't think Ollie's a puppet, says Stephen Murray. I think he's just in a very unfortunate situation. And I do feel sorry for him because let's not forget, Jose Mourinho was in this situation, but he was one of the most experienced and decorated managers in football history. And he failed. And he failed mainly because of himself, but he also didn't get the backing. He didn't get the backing, we know that. But he would have failed anyway because he just didn't suit this club. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has managed Mulder and Cardiff. Like, he's got no experience of managing a big club like this. And, to be honest with you, people say the hardest job in football was taking over Sir Alex Ferguson, David Moyes. I don't think it was. I don't. I think the job has got harder and harder with every year. I think it was a hard job to replace Sir Alex Ferguson, but I think when Moyes fucked it up and destroyed the back room and got rid of players and replaced them badly, it became a harder job for Van Gaal. Then when Van Gaal messed it up even further, it became a harder job for Mourinho. And then when Mourinho did even more damage, it becomes the job that Solskjaer's got, which is, for me, definitely the hardest job in my lifetime for a Manchester United manager. We are in a mess. We're in an absolute mess. And that's not sensationalist. That's just the reality of where we were in May. We knew we were in a mess. And what the club needed to do was be strong, ruthless and decisive and back this manager properly. And unfortunately, we've seen it again. And I'm going over old ground again. We haven't seen strong, decisive and ruthless. We've seen the same old story. And you know what? It's soul destroyed in many ways because this summer needed to be a turning of the page. It needed to be something new. It needed to be a rebuild, and it needed to be, wow, we are really doing something different here. We are shedding the shit, and we are investing in this manager in our future. And I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen it. I've seen the same old patience. I'm happy with what we've done so far. It's a competitive market. We're not going to sell this player that wants to go. It's the same crap. And I'm really disappointed because I expected a lot more. And I don't feel guilty saying it because, like you, Manchester United, I'm not going anywhere as a fan. I'll still be here, hopefully, in 30, 40 years or until my last breath. I'm still going to love this football club. And it just disappoints me the way we run. Is everyone sleeping on Ruben Neves? He's Premier League proven and only young, perfect for what we're trying to build and kindle and anarchy. He's absolutely perfect, but I don't think Wolves will sell him. He's probably got a very good chance of finishing above us next year as well. Welcome to Danny Noon, the latest member of the United Stand Members Club. And MAAF, Martial Art and Fitness says, we wanted Meunier for 25 million, but got Aaron Wan-Bissaka for 50. So now we are 25 million down and trying to make it back by lowballing for people like Bruno. Look, let's see what the next few days have got to offer. They're on tour on Sunday. I have been told that there's going to be something done over the weekend. If it is, I'd imagine it's Longstaff. Does that satisfy people? I don't necessarily think it does. I don't think we'll do anything anyway, to be honest with you. The gin's going down. Lovely. Lovely. Anyway, I could moan all night, and we could moan all night. I think in summary, let's just see what happens. I think we've got to work on letting Pogba go now. This is the second time. His agent has come out and said he wants to go, and Pogba said he wants to go. So you've got to sort that deal out and be proactive. Let's get Bruno Fernandes and Harry Maguire done. Let's just get those done because they make us better. I feel sorry for Solskjaer. I think he's been sold down the river. I don't think he's been delivered what he expected at this point of the summer transfer window. Nobody's gone out the door. Hardly anybody's come in. And I feel sorry for him. But there's still time. Do I trust us to do it in the time we've got? God, no. I don't think we've got enough time. I don't think we've got enough time to sell Pogba, Lukaku, Darmian, Rojo and buy Bruno Fernandes, Maguire, Longstaff and a Pogba replacement and a right winger. That's not happening. That's 9 deals in a month. So what gets sacrificed? I can't predict. I need to think about this. I think Lukaku will stay. I think Pogba will end up going at some point. I think we will get Longstaff. I think Darmian will go. I think Rojo will stay. I hope we get Fernandes and Maguire. and we won't get a right winger. But I just don't know. It's very, very difficult. It's very difficult. And Danny Noon says, Solskjaer's comments on Pereira's contract was a direct stab at Pogba. Come through the academy from another country, doesn't take it for granted. Interesting. And Fraser, why not pay Thomas Partey's release clause cheaper than Saul Niguez? That would be too logical, Fraser, because there's no negotiating with a release clause. You've just got to sort out the personal terms, and it would be a very, very quick deal. Please do subscribe to the channel if you're new. Bottom right-hand corner, we're getting closer and closer to 490,000 subscribers. Bottom right-hand corner, subscribe. Get your notifications on by clicking your bell. And please do smash a like on the video. And finally, welcome to Mazor Gudrali, latest member of the United Stand Members Club. If you were going to go and watch the United Stand play tomorrow, lunchtime, remember I put the details out there last night. I've not put them out there tonight because we're not playing tomorrow now. It's been rearranged. So we will keep you up to date with all the games United Stand are playing, but we aren't playing tomorrow now. So don't go turning up tomorrow. Thanks, everybody. Enjoyable video, maybe not enjoyable content in relation to the context of what we've been talking about, but it is what it is. And look, I'll be back again tomorrow morning and tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. Let's see what tomorrow brings. I have a funny feeling it could be a newsworthy day for United, but let's wait and see. It's Friday night. Have a drink, watch a bit of telly, do the things you want to do, and let's just hope. There is still time. Let's just hope. Thanks for watching.